The next step is to use this foreground ellipse to cut a hole in the background ellipse using something called a compound path. But first I want to introduce you to the difference between the preview mode and the outline modes inside of Illustrator. So I'm going to switch to the black arrow tool, and I'm going to drag around these two paths like so to select the two ellipses. And notice, because the shapes layer is locked, we don't run a risk of selecting it. Then go up to the fill swatch here in the control panel and click on CMYK red in order to fill those shapes with red. And now I'll press the enter key or the return key on a Mac in order to hide that panel. Just do that once, by the way. If you press the enter key or the return key again, you'll bring up the move dialog box. And I'll explain that in detail later, but for now just cancel out of it. Now, the problem with filling objects when you're trying to trace is they obscure your tracing template so you can't see what you're doing, which is one of the places that the outline mode comes in handy. So the idea is when you're in a preview mode, which is where you are by default inside of Illustrator, you're seeing how your illustration will print, and you're also seeing how it will export to the web and so forth. You're seeing what it really looks like, essentially, with all of its fill and stroke and effect attributes. However, in the background, there's all these path primitives, which is to say these path outlines that are really the backbone of your illustration. To see what those path outlines look like, you go up to the View menu and you choose the Outline command, or you press Control-Y, Command-Y on the Mac. Definitely a keyboard shortcut that you want to assign to memory. And notice, now we're seeing just the path primitives inside the illustration and nothing more. We have no idea how it's going to print because we could have assigned any number of fill, stroke, and effect attributes to these objects. You can edit your objects in this mode as much as you want, but if you want to go back to your preview mode, you once again visit the View menu, and now your top command reads Preview, still has the same keyboard shortcut, Control-Y. So in other words, Control-Y allows you to switch to Outline and then back to Preview. It's a toggle. Now the thing is, for tracing purposes, you probably don't want to switch your entire illustration to the outline mode because it's difficult to tell one portion of the illustration from another when all you're seeing is those path primitives. So here's an alternative. You can switch a layer to the preview mode, a single layer, or a single object to the preview mode by visiting the Layers panel and control-clicking or command-clicking on that eyeball. And notice, not only do you get a little Orphan Annie eyeball, or maybe it looks more like one of those contact lenses that are supposed to indicate a blind guy in like Kung Fu or something. Then notice that we switched just this one layer to the outline mode and the other layers are still previewed. And that gives us a really great sense of what's going on inside of our illustration. All right, I just wanted you to see that. If you want to switch any one of these layers back to the preview mode, you control-click or command-click on its eyeball again. Check this out as well. If I go to the View menu and choose Outline or press Control-Y, all of the eyeballs go Little Orphan Annie, and I can control-click on a single eyeball or command-click on that eyeball to switch just that layer to the preview mode. And then to restore all layers to the preview mode, I'll press Control-Y or Command-Y again. So that's how you use the preview and outline modes here inside Illustrator.